Hello and welcome today to our MoneyFit Live webinar. Today's topic is dollar drains. We're going to be talking about how we spend money, large amounts of money over a year's period without even thinking about it. Some might call this Javanomics or the latte factor. These are the little things. We're going to be talking about the little things we spend money on regularly and how they add up to big money over time. Let me say, first of all, Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays. It's a great time of year for many people. Whether you celebrate or not, I hope you have a wonderful end of your year and looking forward to a great 2020. To introduce this topic first, let me say this. There are many people out there that say, hey, why do we talk about these little things? It's the big things that mess up with our finances, the big house payment and the car payment and these other bills that are just too overwhelming for us. Here's my take on this. Yes, we can get into house payments that are too large for our income, or car payments. Any kind of car payment is too large in my mind, but car payments, the average car payment is over $500 a month now, which is redonkulous. I mean, that's one $6,000 a year. That is more than one out of every $10. The average household income, median household income, is going to the car payment on a yearly basis. We can put car payments in here as a dollar drain. They really are. We get into large car payments, and that can overwhelm us, swamp us. Yes, these are big expenses. We can minimize those, but they're all related. They really are. These little things that we spend money, little bits of money on here and there regularly without even thinking about it, it's the same concept, the same principle, that we get into expenses that we just assume, hey, it's the lowest price I want to do, or I'm just going to put it on there. We'll figure it out later. We stack $1 brick, one spending brick. I think that's a great, I might change the name of this in the future. Spending bricks, because it's like laying a brick. It's just awful. We put one brick at a time on it, just thinking, oh, it's just one brick, and pretty soon we've got this massive wall that it's preventing us from reaching the goals that we really want to prioritize in our life. So that's the principle. Little things add up to huge deals. Now, some bricks are larger than others. Yes, the house payment, the car payment, the student loan payments, these are larger than most other expenses in our day-to-day lives. But we can approach them in the same nonchalant, casual way that we approach all these other expenses. The average, this is about 10 years old, the study I saw, but the average home buyer spends less than 10 seconds in a house before they decide to buy the house. 10 seconds to make one of the largest purchases in their life. We just too often react to circumstances and don't make thoughtful and rational decisions. When it comes to money, we can have spontaneity, have some fun money, spontaneous money, put it into our plan. We can spend however we want, but when it comes to other things, we do have to say no to ourselves sometimes. And I know some people say, oh, that's the wrong way of thinking. You got to think in abundance. I think in abundance, but there is no person in this world that has so much money they can spend on every single thing they want. The wealthiest people in the world, they have great, huge foundations. Those foundations can't give to every good cause. Trust me, I've tried. Everybody has to prioritize something. All right. So let's get into some of these examples. We're going to show you an example here and let you think about how often do you spend on that item? How much do you spend? And what do you think that adds up to over a year's time? For example, this is a big one. When I go into high schools and middle schools and into businesses, nonprofits, and I ask, what is it that most people think of when they think of expenses that they make every day or every weekday fairly regularly without considering the long-term impact, because it's just a few bucks. It's just $3 or $5 or $10. The number one thing that comes up is the fast food. How often do you go out to eat? If you work and you are at a company that has 10, 20, 30 employees or more, it's quite likely that not only are you being invited to go out to lunch or with a coworker, sometimes it's kind of expected. You get a social or peer pressure with somebody walking down the aisle at 10 o'clock every morning. Hey, where are we going to go eat today? What are we going to order out for today? And we have to adjust our thinking sometimes. If we really can't afford that, we have to think of other options. Here's the reality. If you spend just $8 a weekday on lunch, and that's nothing anymore. When I started doing this 18, 20 years ago, it was $3.50 for a meal, $4 for a meal. You can't get a Happy Meal hardly for $8. Combo meals are $8 to $10 to $12 anymore. You get a taco truck or one of those trucks that pulls up into your parking lot, they're going to charge you $10 for a hamburger. And that doesn't come with any sides. So this is very minimal. $8 a weekday. If that's 5 days a week, that is over $2,000 a year. For one person, one meal a day. 5 days a week. That doesn't even count weekends. If this is part of your budget, enjoy it. I don't want you to think that I'm trying to get rid of all fun in life and that we should not have these, what we call dollar drains. If you plan for them and if they are part of your household budget, enjoy them. You can do it without any feeling of guilt. But if you struggle and you don't have any savings, and I know you don't because 80% of Americans don't have any kind of regular savings. 60 to 80% of Americans are living paycheck to paycheck. Where's our money going? We have to look around. This is only $2,000 a year. Yeah, it's $2,000 a year. How much do you have in your savings account? Most of us don't have that even in our savings account. There you go. If you want to get to $2,000, let's start instead. What's the option? You have to eat lunch, but a lunch from home is going to cost you, instead of $8, it's going to cost you $1.50 to $2. So you'll still spend about $500 a year on lunch. That's another $1,500 that you should just every day transfer $6 over to your savings fund. Do that, and pretty soon you'll have over $1,000 in your emergency savings. So that is dining out. Here's another one: weekend activities. Whether it's going out to a movie, going out to a bigger dinner or dates, or hanging out with friends. Going out to parties and things like that, so easily can be spending some big money. $50 a weekend is $2,600 a year. $2,600 a year. Have fun. Just plan for how much fun you can afford. And take only that cash. If you are overspending with debit cards and credit cards or prepaid cards, then take the cash so you don't overspend from what you plan. Because that's $2,600. There's other things you probably would rather be doing with that amount of money. Is there a vacation you'd like to take? Is there something you want to do around the house or an activity you want to take the family on? That's money that you might just consider redirecting. Here's one. This is the big one. That's why some of them call it Jobanomics or latte factor. There's a huge portion of the population that stops at a gourmet coffee shop on the way to work, or as soon as they get to work, they head out, grab their Uber Grande, mega large, super thing, whatever. And it's because it's only $5. It's only $7. It's only $8. Again, $8. Oh, and while I'm there, I'm just going to grab myself a pastry. What does that add up to over time? That's at $6 a day. That's $1,500 a year for a cup of joe. Is that your priority? I've done these classes and had students say, once I realized how much I was spending on that, first of all, I had to get up extra 10 minutes early so that I could drive out of my way to go to my favorite coffee shop, wait in line, make the purchase, and then head back to work. I get to sleep in an extra 10, 15 minutes. I bought myself a really nice machine that makes it for me and it's ready when I wake up. And it's a tenth the price, or it's a quarter the price. Again, what is your priority? If this is your priority, enjoy it. I was teaching a class for people going through bankruptcy. And there was a couple in the front row. The wife said, my husband knows that I can do without any luxuries in life. She said, I don't need the cable. I don't need big vacations. But he knows we don't touch my coffee budget. As long as it's in your budget, enjoy it, if that's your priority. All right, so let's move on here now to a big one that anybody who smokes knows it's expensive. A lot of people just don't want to admit how expensive. And I'm going to say this before I even get into the amount. Early on when I was doing these classes back in the early 2000s, I initially said, look, I'm not going to stand up here and say stop smoking and don't spend money on this. But I would have people, just about every time I did this, somebody would come up and say, no, you have to tell us. Tell smokers how much we're spending, because we only know it's 5 or 6 or 8 or 10, depending on where you live. If there's a sin tax, it could be $15 a pack. We know it's expensive by the pack, and we know it is expensive by the week, but we don't see the annual number. So this is what I say. Look, everybody wants to quit smoking at some point. That's no secret. Everybody knows it's bad for you. If this is what's going to give you a little motivation, you don't just say, oh, look, that's money that I don't want to spend. That's not motivation. Motivation is ask yourself, what would you rather be doing with that money? What is it that's more motivational to you? Because at $6 a pack, 1 pack a day, $1,500. Whoa, sorry, I went the wrong way. Let me try that again. $7 a day is $2,500 a year, because you don't get weekends off. It's every day. And if you are in a household where you and your partner both smoke a pack a day, double that. $5,000 a year. That is a very nice vacation to Hawaii or to the Caribbean. That you could probably go on 3 or 4 cruises, really nice cruises, for 7 days at a time for that amount of money. What's your priority? Now, if that doesn't do anything for you, ask yourself, is there something you'd rather be doing with $5,000? And redirect it so that you're reaching you're accomplishing your financial priorities and not just spending mindlessly because it's a habit, or in this case, an addiction. If that provides you with the extra oomph to make a difference, then post that amount of money that you're spending on an annual basis and remind yourself that you'd rather put that somewhere else. So if you did quit, every day, instead of buying a pack of cigarettes, take that same amount of money, that $5 spot or 10 spot, whatever it was, and instead put it in a special jar that you can't reach in, so you can't take the money out. That's going to be your special savings jar. Of course, there are some people that vape instead. Early on, we knew that this was a lot cheaper, although it's becoming more and more expensive as a lot of smokers move to vaping. Vaping companies have now been raising the rates, and of course, vapors can vape a lot more often than they would just smoking. It becomes just almost as expensive, even at $4 a day. That includes all the vials that you're buying, all the flavors, all the batteries, and everything that you need. About $4 a day. It's $1,000 a year still, and that's for a moderate vapor. So besides all the health issues that are starting to come forward, that shouldn't surprise anybody, but $4 a day does add up to $1,000 a year. Is there something you'd rather be doing with $1,000 a year? Most of us would. Okay, let's hit everybody's tender spot. For some reason, in the age of internet, where there are so many services like Hulu and Netflix and now Disney Plus, where you can watch any movie you want just about any time, there's still a huge percentage of people who pay for cable TV month after month. Whether it's well, I got to watch my games. Those 10 games a year, you're going to spend $100, $150 a month just so you can watch 10 games a year. At $125 a month, let's say you do have the special sports package or the extra deals for the movies, or let's say you just have the standard TV package, like 70%, 75% of Americans still do. But then you add not only Netflix, but you also have Hulu Plus, and now you have Disney Plus, and you just continually add one subscription onto another, and you're $125, $150, $200 a month all of a sudden. You can't watch that much TV. Really. I mean, unless your job is reviewing TV shows, there's no way you can watch that much TV in a household. Prioritize what you want to do with your money. Again, well, I got to watch those movies. I got to watch those games. My team plays, whenever they play, I want to make sure I watch the game. Maybe it's just my the shameless leech coming out of me, but when I've had games that I actually had, that my college team really, I needed to watch that game, I call up a neighbor or a friend and I say, hey, if you're planning on watching the game tonight, if I'll be talking about the game and I find out that they're going to be watching it tonight, I say, hey, you want some company? I'm happy to bring some chips, bring some dips. And for $5 a game, all I have to do is bring the chips, salsa. I get to watch the game. I don't even have to clean up the mess afterwards. I get to go home. Hopefully I don't make a mess, right? But look at your priorities, because these little things add up to huge amounts over the years' time. Here's the next one. It's detailing your car. There seems to be, at least where I live, there seems to be a new car wash going up on just about every other corner. And at $10 to $20 a car wash, that can add up in a hurry. Now they'll have $30, get a $30 subscription. Again, these subscriptions are killing us. For $30 a month, you can have unlimited car washes. Really? How many times do you need to wash the car and is it really affecting your life that much that you have to add another that much more money? Let's see if you detail even where are you going to find a cheap detailing for $50 a month? But for $50 a month, $600 a year. That, again, is it worth that much to the trade-off? That $600, is there something else you'd rather it be going to? Or is the clean car that much of a priority for you? Which in many cases it might be. You just have to ask yourself. If you're understanding what I'm getting at, for every single one of these, can we become aware of how we're spending our money and how much we're spending over time, rather than just mindlessly putting down money here, adding a subscription there. Mindful spending, please, rather than mindless spending. That's the way we are acting as a society, is throw another subscription on. It's a great business model. If you have a business, you should have a subscription service, because that's where you get month after month income. But as consumers, we need to avoid getting into that trap. How about your cell phone? Cell phone service. $90 a month is over $1,000 a year. Okay, so is that $90 a month for the service or $90 a month for the phone? Probably for each. There's some people that will pay $100 a month for their brand new phone so they can have it paid off in a year. Or certainly $50 a month for the newest and best smartphones are typically about $50 to $60 a month. Think about that over 24 months. That's well over $1,000 for that phone. Unless you're using it for business, it's a tough justification. I'll just share this. As I was working with people who are going through bankruptcy, we do a lot of bankruptcy counseling. A couple of the commonalities I would see in people's budget as they were getting ready to file. One is a huge car payment when you compare it to their income. A car payment, you add the car payment, the insurance, the gasoline, and it all adds up to about 1/4 to even half. I've seen it half of their total monthly income going toward a vehicle. And I would tell people, look, you understand that from the time you get to work at 8 o'clock in the morning until you head off to lunch at noon, you don't get any of that money. That's all going for the vehicle that just got you to work. You don't make any money for food or housing or clothing or fun or anything until after lunch. It's a new way of looking at things for some people. They think, wait, maybe I'm spending too much on my car. Yeah. The other one is a huge cell phone bill. $250, $350, $450 cell phone bills for a household, because everybody in the household has to have the top of the line phone and the newest phone, and they all have to have the highest unlimited everything, because they haven't learned to tell themselves, no, I don't need all of that, and I can't afford all of that. Ask yourself, if you're spending $100 a month or more for your cell phone bill, even $75 a month just for your cell phone service, you're probably spending too much. There are a lot of services out there that will work just fine for the vast majority of people live and work and travel in areas where you will have coverage that is great with all the major carriers and even some of the ones that you can find in the stores for the prepaid services. All right. This one I could go on and on and on about the lottery. Let's just agree. If you don't agree, then you should think about it. The lottery is a tax on people who are bad at math. The statistics say you're not going to win. You're really not going to win. Well, somebody's got to win. Okay, yeah, somebody. But it's not going to be you. Rather than spending $10 a week, and there's people that are going to spend way more than that every week on the lottery because they think they're going to win the $500 million lottery. For everyone that makes the news, there are 200 million people that don't. Which group are you going to be in? The 200 million that loses the money doesn't get anything back. Yeah, every once in a while they are able to say, oh, well, about 1 in 5 of our tickets are winners. Yeah, you'll win $5, you'll win $10, you'll win $20. If you've ever been behind somebody in line at a convenience store where they got a winning ticket, do you know what they do with that? Everybody knows what they do with it, because that's what you do with it. Every time you win $5, $10 with a lottery ticket, you buy more lottery tickets. Nobody wants to win $20. That's not why you're doing it. That's $500 a year, $1,000 every 2 years, $5,000 every 10 years, $10,000 every 20 years. And in those 20 years, you still have a better chance of being struck by lightning 5 or 6 times. So until you're struck by lightning 5 or 6 times in a 20-year period, you're not lucky enough to win the lottery. Take that same $10,000, invest it, and it's going to double for you every 20 years just by investing it in the stock market. So avoid the lottery. It's a waste of your time and your money. It funds our educational programs. Guess what? If we had more money in our pockets, in our households, we'd be in a better position to both donate and pay taxes and take care of. We wouldn't have to cut so much, and we wouldn't complain so much about our local systems not having the money. We'd have more money in our pockets to do good things and not just waste it on the lottery. There's my soapbox. Can you think of other things that you spend your money on, that you spend $3, $5, $10 at a time on, without even thinking about it, go ahead and feel free to chat it. Feel free to share it with me. Send me an email. I would love you if you want to send me an email. It's Todd, Todd, at moneyfit.org. Share one of your own dollar drains, or dollar drains that family members or friends that you've noticed in their lives, because I would love to add some of these and share it with others. The idea here, again, it's not to eliminate all this from our own lives. It's to redirect it. Set goals. What do we want to do with that money instead? How much of that money we're spending on the current dollar drains do we want to redirect? Write it down and do it. So here's a summary. Recognize your own personal dollar dumps. You got to set your own dollar limit. You've got to identify which goal is more important to you, or which activity, the dollar drain or your new priority. Minimize your dollar drains, and then redirect the spending to what's the most important thing for you. And here's your theory of change. At the end of every one of my webinars, I go through this. 1, picture yourself in your financial future. What does it look like? How are you spending your money? What is it that you're achieving financially? 2, consider where you are now. As you look at the future and compare it to your present day, are you content with where you're at? Probably not. Most people want to find a way to improve. That discontentment, that dissonance between the future and the present, that's what creates motivation. So ask yourself, what are you going to do to improve the chances of making your financial future come true? And tell yourself you're going to change. And then most importantly, the most important one is do one thing today. One thing today. In the next minute, in the next hour, in the next 3 hours, but certainly in the next 12 hours. If you don't do one thing to change today, you will have wasted this 30-minute time period. Whether it's, hey, you know what, I am not going to go out and eat, and instead I'm going to go to the grocery store and get a little lunch there for $2 or $3, rather than the $8 or $10. And instead of just saying that, not spending it, transfer that $8 or that $6 that you didn't spend over to your savings account to start toward a new goal. Do one thing. That's all I'm asking, one thing. If you wanted a certificate of completion for this webinar, if you need it for continuing education, go to that link there at the bottom. It's bit.ly, it's bit.ly/MFL, that's MoneyFit Live, MFL-drains. You'll need to put in your name, how you want it to appear on your certificate. It'll ask you for an email so that we can deliver the certificate. And the passcode is DDRAINS19, DDRAINS19. No spaces, no dots, no dashes. And that will automatically show up in your inbox. But thank you for joining me today. I appreciate your time, and hope that you have enjoyed it and learned something. And please feel free to share with others. Refer others, family members, friends, to these free webinars every Wednesday. They are archived at moneyfit.org/live. You'll find a link to our archives there, all of our past webinars. Thank you, and hope you have a great day.